The building was abandoned for about 6 years when I found it. I mean, it was in bad, bad shape. So we put a bunch of money into it, opened up, and the idea was to have this incubator project for our graduate students. We didn't get a good response. We had maybe two or three who approached us, and reality kicked in, and they were like, "We're not ready to do this yet. We need to go, we need to eat. We need to go and work in a factory or some other job first until we can accumulate enough money to strike out on our own." Because they were prepared to go and get jobs. But their dream is not to have a job. Their dream is to have their own business. So a lot of them left, and a lot of them started leaving San Miguel. And we noticed, and I know from the founders that the idea was not to have these kids leave San Miguel. The idea was to have them start as an economic motor here in San Miguel that would help their own community and do something more than being a waiter or working in a hotel for tourism. So now they have their titulo, they're graduated, and they leave. They go to get their first job in Celaya or in Querétaro or somewhere else. And we were losing them. We were losing all these kids that we had invested in. And we just hoped that they would come back because their families were still here. So the idea was hopefully they'll come back and maybe help the next kids coming behind them. But the reality is these things take time. These curves take time. They're having their successes. They're traveling to other countries. They're doing wonderful in their lives. And maybe like Rodrigo, who was out for 18 years, eventually they'll come back. But it's not going to be a quick kind of thing. So I realized I had to take a pivot from my business plan, which was incubator, and we pivoted to become a co-working space. And at that time, co-working is a new phenomenon here in San Miguel. There were no co-working spaces. Nobody knew what co-working was. It was a phenomenon that started in the States and about 12 years ago, maybe 14 years ago by now. And it's the idea that you share a space with other people so that you can keep your costs down and also build a business network with other people who have services or skills that you may need. So instead of me renting my own office to do my graphic design business and you renting your own office to do your catering business, we share an office, we share the expenses, we keep our costs down, we share the receptionist. You don't have your own reception, I have one. We have one receptionist, she serves all of us, and that's a very economical way to work. And in the meantime, you may be picking up some clients, you may be working together on some projects together. You're working independently but not alone. That's the whole concept, because here in San Miguel, where everybody has these fabulous houses, a lot of people have offices in their own house. They're in their pajamas and they're working away, but they're alone. And you don't make business connections and you don't build an ecosystem for an economic motor by being alone in your house. So the idea with co-working was to bring these people out of their houses, get them to start working with each other, collaborating, and building an energy of entrepreneurs here in San Miguel. So that went well. I think the co-working portion of it was a lot more successful than the incubator part. So that's what we started doing, and then the digital nomads start coming in, of course, as that phenomena grew, more mobile workers, and they seem to like coming to the space as well. And we work with nonprofit groups here as well. When they need a meeting room for their annual meeting, or they need a space for their board of directors meeting once a month, they don't have a whole office that they have to keep paying rent with. They only use what they need. So we have a nice little rhythm going here. We also have some permanent offices that we rent out. So we have 6 offices, and these are people who already have their businesses developed, but they're working independently, but not alone. So that's the concept we are keeping now. We were the first here in San Miguel. I'm very proud to say that. And there's been a few copycats over the years, but it takes some grit to keep a business like this going. So we're still the only ones in town right now, and hopefully others will follow. Hopefully we can build a platform and a model that we can duplicate in other areas as well, because I think this building is not sufficient for the demand that has been building for this type of entrepreneurial population.
Who are among the permanent people you have?
Oh, we have very interesting people. My favorite one is Nespresso Coffee, distributor here, and he has the best coffee. This is like a Nespresso commercial. I love his coffee. He covers all the territory up through Querétaro, León, and Celaya, including San Miguel. And he's a wonderful client here. He's been with me 2 years now, actually. We have another wonderful permanent client, recent one who's from Monterrey, the Créditos Mujer Sí, and they give microloans to women who want to start their own businesses. So they have anywhere from 2,000 to 6,000 pesos, and you pay it back, and they automatically renew your loan to keep you going. There's no collateral, there's no interest, and it's kind of like a confidence building so these women can get their small businesses up and running. And people say, oh, 2,000 pesos, 6,000 pesos, that's not a lot of money. No, it's not, but for these small businesses, it could mean life or death. So they have over 400 clients already. The lady who sells the tamales on the corner, the lady who sells the, Jello under the bridge. These are small business women, and they are doing these microloans and growing their businesses. So we're very proud to have them here as a permanent client as well.
Where does the money to fund this come from?
They're part of the Affirme Bank.
Oh.
And the bank is working with the city of San Miguel to put this program forward here in San Miguel, because they have it in other areas as well. Mm-hmm. So it's backed by the Affirme Bank. And they're great clients because you get to meet all kinds of women, and they come and they're working women. They're entrepreneurs, and that's what I love to support. So who else do we have here? Permanent. We have an accountant, and he handles many different construction people. We have an American guy who has a very short time with us so far, but he's going to be here. And he works for an organic compost company, so he's with the agricultural part. So it's a mix of people, and the nomads are coming through all the time, and they're techies sometimes, and sometimes they're videographers, and sometimes they're, different people who are passing through San Miguel. They come, they plug in, they do their work, and they keep on going.
And do they get to know each other?
Yeah, they do. We make sure we have a community manager that we just hired, and his job is to make sure he knows everybody and that they know each other and that they collaborate whenever possible. So his job is constantly introducing people to one another and learning what they're doing and connecting them with people who may be able to work with them. So yeah, we have a nice little thing going here. We do classes. We invite nonprofit organizations, we invite artists, and whoever wants to give a class here. We have a wonderful system of salons and very economical. In fact, if you give free classes, we don't charge you for the salon. If you make the money from your class, we take a percent, or you can rent the whole thing. So, but it's a nice way to have a calendar of various different events going on all the time, from language classes to business development classes to yoga classes. We had art classes here one time, and so the whole thing is about using the space and making the space lively and collaborative, so you don't feel I have all the weight of making my business succeed on my own back. So
we also have recurring clients who rent the spaces like for meetings or because they're flexible spaces. So just yesterday, there was a company here training private security guards.
yeah,
And in fact, they have been, they don't have a permanent office here, but they have been renting spaces for almost 2 years, yes. And they come and they use the spaces for meetings, or when they were hiring people to interview people, maybe they didn't want to take them to their offices for whatever reasons. And they do the training here, since we have some very big flexible spaces. My own company, I am an engineer, and I have an engineering company, and when I bring clients, because my main office is in Monterrey. But when we bring clients, we bring them here. And we have had a number of business presentations and business meetings here in the space. Again, I am a client of Smart Space. And to me, it's a great facade. It's like, okay, I want to bring a client, impress them that we have really good facilities, and nothing better than having a nice-looking meeting room with projection capabilities, high-speed internet. And I do not have to pay rent for a permanent space that I will only be using maybe a few days a month, or it's just it just makes economic sense for me to use this space. I mean, for me as a company, engineering company.
No, that's the whole beauty of the concept with co-working and flexible office space and everything. And you see this model very successful in big cities. I mean, you go to Monterrey, Querétaro, they all have spaces like this, but you rarely see them in small towns. And the reason is because they haven't really refined the economic model, because we don't have the volume of people coming through here that you would in Querétaro or in Monterrey or in Guadalajara. So my whole thing as an innovator here and an entrepreneur as well is to build the business model so that it can function in small towns, not just San Miguel. This is like the pilot here. We're on a 3-year pilot, a pilot test, And what we're going to do is we're getting all the kinks out so that we can start moving this around and making it work for other small towns that have a lot of talent, and they need the same resources that they have in Guadalajara, but they're not accessible. So that's one of the things that we're working on here, to build the model.